to this our a regular practice. So we have been focusing on the principle called the wings to the enlightenment, and on that we discussed the contemplation of the body, feelings, our mind, and the phenomena, how things works. And in order to contemplate on these, then again there are other factors that we required, and that is, first of all, preventing from any unwholesome activities that normally we engage, and that also influences our thoughts, our way of life. And then, if possible, uprooting such mental negative states and developing positive states, which is a bit hard, although we want it to be developed and we want it to have it much of the time. So it requires the cultivation of it, and once we have cultivated, again, try to maintain and then developing furthermore. And obviously, in order to do that, we have to have the desire to do it. So there is this encouragement or enthusiasm. We must have it. Only then we will be able to put an effort or do it. Otherwise, despite of a beautiful thing and knowing the benefit, we won't commit ourselves to do it. And not only doing it and committing it, further on, we got to be very mindful that how much efforts we've been applying and what are the results that we are receiving, and then what needs to be done. Either the putting a bit of more time or effort, or losing a little bit, so that come into the balance. So after that practices, obviously we gain some sort of a confidence in our practice, and we see the benefit of the practice. So we will be developing the confidence in the practice, which obviously brings much confidence in it, and we will put more effort to practice, will not be lazy, and also will not give up the practice, since we have seen the benefit of it. Now, these whole practices are simply to gain the mindfulness. And the practice of this mindfulness, as we know that our mind is absorbing so many things in our life from day one, and over the period of a time we have absorbed so many things, good and bad. And if we look at more closely, then we realize that pretty much we spend a lot of time spending time on the negative things. What did happen and why it is not happen, why it is. And despite, actually in one day, we may have done good things, maybe 10 out of 10, but within that 10 out of 10, the slightest something negative, then we dive or we dwell into it pretty much most of the time. So we forgot the 9, which was completely so perfect and so positive. So we spend time on that, the wrong thing. And as a result of that, what happens that we become frustrated, anxious, and then stressed, and then can't function properly, and we forget all these 9 good things, and we only spend this, the 10th one, which is not completely done, but some different there, some faults there, and we spend there. So there is one book, Who Eat the Dung? You may have heard this book, written by a very famous monk in Australia, Ajahn Brahm, one of the best-selling book, Who Eat the Dung? So in that book he explained that when he was building up a temple in Australia, and then when he was constructing a wall, and it was perfectly done, and then in the evening one monk or someone came and then pointed one not evenly placed brick. He pointed that, oh, this brick is not in line with the rest of the others, and that really annoyed him. And then he was like, kept thinking about it, and should I destroy this, or should I take it out carefully and then put it back? So he was constantly thinking about it. And then suddenly he became aware that why I am looking at one little fault rather than thinking of this entire wall that I have created so beautifully. So that is the mindfulness that we need. The moment when we become aware, then suddenly our perception will change. The way we look at the things will change, and we become much lighter, much happier. So then we will not be spending time on something that is faulty. We will be spending more time on what I have done, good things, like 9 things. And then this little thing, which is the faulty one, we will spend very little time on it. So with that, we are developing the positive mindset. So that's why I used to say that mindfulness is actually knowing that what am I having in my head. So there, I think in English there are 2 words, mindfulness and mindfulness. So mind with a full of stuff, and a mindfulness. So knowing that I am having these full of stuff actually is a mindfulness, so that we can settle these things out. So another simile I normally give, that the more we practice mindfulness, we will be becoming a good personal assistant who will sort out which letter comes first, and then give it to the boss to check first. So it's like whatever posts come, you will be looking at the posts and then checking that which one is the important, urgent, and which one is less important or not that important. Then you will be putting it into the last. So basically learning how to filing it. And with that learning, filing it, then we will not be, we don't need to be worried about it. So we will be dealing which is important first, and then gradually dealing with that. So another simile that I think about this mindfulness, that is basically whenever things happen, we just know it. And then in everyday life, we just use it. So rather than mindlessly walking or mindlessly doing things, just to be mindful that you are walking, just to be mindful that you are doing. Just be mindful that you are sitting. Just be mindful that you are eating. Now, this is also known as the mindfulness in the action, in the present moment. So you are always in the present moment. Now, the more we develop that, what's happening, that our mind becomes much calmer. And then our mind becomes much concentrated with ourselves. So mind will be more conscious about how am I moving, how my body functioning, and which state my body is. And then whichever ways my body is, what sort of a feelings I'm going through. What sort of a feelings I'm getting. Like you may have noticed, when you are sitting uncomfortably, you feel tensions and uncomfortable. Or if you have to lean somewhere, one side or another, then again you feel uncomfortable. So that is, once you know it, you're changing it. So with that, concentration develops, and then the wisdom also arises that why am I having this suffering? What is the cause of this suffering? And how can I deal with this suffering? And then dealing with that suffering. So like when you are standing on one foot, obviously it creates a tension, so you change. Or when you are sitting uncomfortably, you realize that there is a tension, there is pain. Now move, right? Then you will be able to recognize that, and you will be changing that. So same in our day-to-day life. Whenever things come and that disturbs you, so recognizing that I am having this. And the recognition develops from the bodily sensation, the emotion boils up, the feeling changes, and even the way we are speaking, thinking becomes much louder. So recognizing those things, straight away we realize, okay, I am in this state. Now this is the suffering, this is the pain. Now deal with that. So dealing can be in different ways. Now the way we deal with that, if we have a right understanding of that, then there will be no trouble, right? So that's the practice of a mindfulness meditation is basically recognizing it and having a right understanding of it, and then ability to discern it completely. And with that, complete, we will be happy. The problem is, it's very difficult to be here and now and be mindful what I am doing. And that's what we are learning. Right? So with that learning, first of all, we will be able to recognize our body, and then we recognize our feelings and how our mind works, and then why I am having this stress and anxiety and the troubles going through. Then eventually we are able to, this is okay, that's fine, so let it go. So that is the mindfulness and concentration and using the wisdom. So we'll focus on that three principles today. So to do that, let's practice, and then we'll discuss later on that further on. Okay, now this is the time for the practice. Sitting in a comfortable position. Relax yourself. If possible, sitting upright position. And you may put your hands on your lap or on your knees. Make sure it's comfortable. You may adjust by going for tilting forward, backward, or sides, just to find the comfortable position. And gently close your eyes. And spend some time observing your physical body sitting here and now. You may imagine that you are sitting in front of the mirror and looking at your sitting body. So basically scanning not by thinking but feeling. And as you're feeling the way you're sitting, your posture, you may notice that the mind is trying to find something, and that something is visible, empirical, moving, or something that tangible. If there is no itchiness or pain in your body, this tangible object would be the breath coming in and going out. And with that coming in and going out creates the motion, a movement. So noticing that movement. And when you notice this movement, where do you feel it? Or where do you notice this feeling of movement? Here again, we are not thinking, but feeling. So where do you feel this breath coming in and going out? So we normally feel it in our nose or in our belly. Wherever you feel comfortable and easy to recognize these movements, let's spend some time observing at that particular place. So feeling the breath at that particular place. So natural breath, normal breath. We are not holding the breath to feel or not generating the breath to feel it. Simply just mindful as this breath comes in and goes out, there is this sensation. If it's in your belly, then belly rise, belly falls. So this is the mindfulness of the body in the body, the one tiny part of our entire body. And we are mindful of this particular movement of this body part due to the feeling, which is a neutral feeling. And this neutral feeling of a rising and a falling, or incoming and outgoing breath, sometimes you may feel pleasant. Other time you may feel a bit exhausting, unpleasant. Or other time, just the feeling that this is rising, this is falling, or this is coming and this is going. So we are simply paying attention to what is taking place here and now. Nothing in the past, nothing in the future. The moment when we think about the past, it really drains ourselves. And whenever we think about the future, what will be, then again creates the worries. Whereas this moment, what's happening, this very moment with the breath coming in and going out in our body, there is nothing apart from the present moment. And this breath is our life. So we are actually learning to notice our own life. It is a natural truth, normal truth. It is common to all. So spend time observing this natural breath and feeling. And when you're feeling, what sort of a mental state you're having. Do not develop the craving of a pleasant sensation, or do not develop the resentment to the unpleasant sensation. Keep the mind in a neutral position, just knowing and being alert and awake to anything that's taking place this very moment. And this rising and falling. Now obviously whenever mind thinks about the past or the future, at that time we leave this concentrating on the breath and noticing that thoughts and thinking, noticing that thought, realizing it, let go, and back to the breath again. So this is the way we develop our mindfulness. Mindfulness of our body, feeling, and the mind, and how things work. So basic practice is trying to be with the breath, incoming, outgoing, noticing the rising, falling, and in case it goes to think about something else, and noticing it, observing, acknowledging, note, and let go, and back to it again. So continue practicing for some times. So in that case, I will go back again to the reflection that I gave before our practice of a meditation, that I was contemplating on the 5 faculties, the faculties that we are concentrating, and then previously we have concentrated or studied or reflected on to beginning of it. So the first one is the confidence or the belief. Second is the energy, and then now the third, fourth, and the fifth. The third one is the mindfulness, and then the fourth one is the concentration, and then the fifth one is the wisdom. Right? Now, the third one, the mindfulness, is like like you are driving a car. Like you're driving a car. So we have 4 wheels. So the first, the second, and fourth, and the fifth, they are like a 4 wheels. It won't move and it won't be balanced unless a driver is there. So driver has got the control which way you want to maneuver the car. So similarly, so the mindfulness is here as the one who is maneuvering the rest of others. And this mindfulness again, actually not about the mindfulness of outside, so what's happening out there. It's the mindfulness directly directed to the contemplating of our body. How my body is, how much attachment in my body I have, how much craving I have in my body. And then a feeling, what sort of a feeling I am experiencing and how much I have this attachment or desire to hold on to or try to push it away on that feeling. And in the meantime, be contemplating on the mind, what sort of a mind I am having and how am I developing this mind, my mental states, and development of those mental states, how it is affecting my way of thinking, my way of living, and these factors, how these factors are interrelated, and this is causing me a trouble or a happiness. So knowing that is the main mindfulness here in this case. And further on, after we have been contemplating on a body, feeling and mind, then the more we contemplate without any distractions, or we able to be contemplating on that, then the concentration comes, mind automatically calms down. And then that calming the mind actually gets into the different stages, where from the beginning that we become, okay, this is what I am observing, I am content with it, so I am able to let go others. And then it comes to the stage that it's okay. The equanimity develops, the mind simply into the balance mode, that whenever things happen, you recognize that, okay, this is happening, and then, okay, that's fine. This is not that I can do, so I was able to leave it there, like that. So that mindset will develop, and this mindset develops up to such a level that nothing can disturb you anymore. Nothing can make you. It's like the statement when somebody asks about how can you deal with your anger, then I normally say that no one can make me angry without my permission, like that. So we are able to disconnect that despite knowing these things happening, but not disturbed by it. Not only that, we can also develop certain other mental qualities, or so-called the mind powers, and these mind powers obviously helps to deal with other things. So that develops. Once developed that, then we realize that whenever we are experiencing any problems in our life, doesn't matter what problem, from the small things to the bigger things, then we contemplate in a very different way. Rather than why me, we will be dealing with that problem, what is it? Rather than why me. I have been doing this, this, then why me? We normally have that question. So whereas mindfulness, once we have developed and our mind becomes such a calm state, then that moment, rather than why me, what is it? So we separate ourselves and then the problem, and then we deal with that problem. So we will take it as objectively, not a subjective problem, but objectively, and dealing with that objectively. When we deal with that objectively, we are not engaged in it, but we know what's happening. It's like I used to give a simile, not having a bath with a dirty water. So come out from the bath, look at that this is a dirty water, empty it, and put the new water and jump in, like that. So the practice of a mindfulness meditation is basically like that. Then you become wiser. So using these ways to deal with the problems, and you find the proper way to deal with that. And that's how wisdom comes, and wisdom ends there. Wisdom will be there to facilitate, so that's why it is called the faculties, to help us to grow in the path. So these are the 5 faculties. I thought that I will explain and finish for today. Yeah? So with this, anyone wants to? So with this, let's practice loving kindness meditation to finish off.